Hey folks, it's Chris on for another episode of Chronos News. It's been a little while since I've been here. I've been on vacation with my girlfriend in South Padre Island, as well as my son and her son and parts of her family. Had a really good time out there, and I didn't bring any gear with me when I went except for my Nikon. And I did get a time lapse out there. It was kind of neat. It was the beach at night. It isn't anything too special in the first part, but the second part's interesting because there was this large party that had been there for 3 nights, and each night the cops had gone out and sort of busted it up, and I got the whole thing on time lapse, and it's pretty fun. I'll play it at the end of this. I'm going to be working on an Adreno R3 conversion for Chronos, so that way you can take the Chronos program off SourceForge.net and use it on the new R3 Adrenos that are on the 1.0. because I can't get it to work right now. There's something about the serial print commands on the new soft serial, but I'll get that figured out and hammered away. I've been meaning to do it. I've just been awfully lazy. I spent a lot of time working on that code, and I wasn't really overly enthused when I found out I had to go in and start gutting parts of it out and replacing them in order to get this to work. But I will get that done. I have a delivery coming. It's a set of boards that I had made, circuit boards, that basically replace the Adreno, the proto board, and it replaces the and you can add the motor driver chip to it, so it kind of gets all those things on one piece, and it takes away a lot of the complexity. I don't know if you haven't seen on the SourceForge.net, there's a control box manual on how to build one, and if you look at it, there's a lot of solder points. So this is something that's going to eliminate a lot of that and make it a lot easier. I'm trying to move over here a little bit because I don't want there's wind starting to pick up and I don't want it to catch in the mic. But either way, I'm getting 10 of them delivered. 5 of them I'm going to be putting up for sale, so if anybody's interested in buying one, let me know. I think I'm going to charge $60 for them. I went through all the effort of putting these things together, and $60 will get you a completed one. That means all the Adreno hardware is on there. It means that the motor driver chip is on there. Everything's on there ready to go. So if you want to build one of these, you can just, all you really have to do is connect on the limit switches, and you have to connect the dials and the buttons to it. But it's just a little board, maybe about that big. It's smaller than Adreno, and I can't wait to get them in. Hopefully they work. Also, something I'm really excited about, we have a Facebook page. So look up Project Chronos in Facebook and you'll find a page. Go on there, like it, please, and then you'll be getting any information and updates as things develop, especially if you're wanting to build one of these systems and you just don't have everything that you need to do it, or you're not sure that you're capable of doing it. You can just keep an eye on this, as I'm developing more stuff for Chronos. You know, I got these new boards coming. I'm trying to simplify the process to make it as simple as possible for people to make. Also, go to www.timelapse.org. It's a new site that's been put up. There's a guy, I don't know his name, but he goes by Time on Vimeo. He started this site, and it looks pretty interesting. It looks like people can submit their information, submit their videos and stuff like that on there. It's got information on different motion control systems, and I'd like to see if there's anything I can do to help out with that. But go in there and take a look at it. Next, on 2 new systems that have been showing up on Kickstarter. One's called the Radian, and the other one's called, I believe, Astro. And they both look very similar. I mean, they're about the size and shape of a hockey puck. You mount a camera on it, and it'll pan the camera. 2 significant differences between the two. All the controls on the Astro are on there. It's like those little slide rings that you slide around in order to get set up. And it looks like a sweet little design. The Radian came online on Kickstarter a little while later, and I don't see any controls on it, and it mentions on there that there's a smartphone app, and it's also come to my attention that all you have to do is you program it with your smartphone or iPhone. I don't know if it works on iPhone, Android, or what. Go on to Kickstarter and just look up time lapse, 2 words, and you'll see those. They'll pop right up in the beginning. But apparently, if you program with your phone, you don't have to leave your phone tethered to it, which I think is a huge thing, because I really don't want my phone involved in time-lapse at all. I already have a hard enough time keeping the battery charged on that thing as it is. When I'm out doing time-lapse, the last thing I want to do is drain my battery down on my phone needlessly if I have on controls on the unit itself. But I guess if you can just program it and then disconnect it and the thing will continue to run, well, you know, maybe that's a good option as well. But take a look at those. As for today, I was going to go over a little bit about this, because this is a full completed unit. I just finished this last night. This is going out to Holland. There's a guy out there who does a lot of time-lapse, macro time-lapse work, and I made a modification on the system to try to help with that and make that work as good as possible. But that aside, this is a completely stock unit, so I'm going to go over and let you know what $1,200 gets you. First off, you get the control box. You get all the brackets, everything assembled. There's some places where we can't ship assembled, or else the price goes through the roof, like Australia. So if you're going to Australia, you're going to get this thing in a little bit of a state of disassembly, but a couple Allen wrenches are all you need to get everything up and running. All the soldering, all that stuff should be done, with the exception of the limit switch on the outer end, which will probably just have some crimp on terminals to get it onto from the cables of the switch. So this is the entire rail. This is a 39-inch rail. It's 1,000 millimeters. It gives 36 inches of travel on a 39-inch rail. The 3 inches that it doesn't travel is due to the width of this carriage. So I tried to get as much movement as possible with this. It does not come with a ball head. This is just a little piece of plastic designed to keep the screw here from scratching anything, but this will fit into the bottom of any type of ball head that you'll be able to find. I use a Manfrotto Magic Arm on mine, but you can use ball head, pan head, whatever really works for you is fine. It does come with the feet. These are just acrylic. They are not Lexan. They are not meant to withstand tons of abuse, but they will work as long as you just give general care for them. Just don't beat them up. They have almost half an inch thick, and they will withstand some abuse, but they're not going to stay pretty if you keep beating them up. So I'm going to take a quick moment and go over belt drive versus lead screw. Just kind of give the main differences between the two. The advantages of belt drive is you can go a lot longer runs with these lead screws. I know there's a 1,600 millimeter rail out there, which is about 5.5 feet, I think. I haven't seen it, but I did the electronics for it. I've also done electronics for 2 of them that were 1,200 millimeters, so an extra 20 centimeters on this. It gets it close to about 4 feet. You can get about 4 or 5 feet on one of these, but that's really about the limit. So if you want 8-9 feet, the lead screw is just not going to cut it. But where the lead screw is better is accuracy. I suppose using a stepper motor instead of a DC motor with a belt drive system will help you with the accuracy, but I can get 1/64 thousandths of an inch accuracy with this. At least that's theoretical, but I have managed to get 1/32 thousandths accuracy, and that's 125th the width of a human hair. So it's nice being able to know that you have a very accurate system. Plus, if you want to do macro time lapse, you can do it with this, but you're not going to be able to do it with a belt drive system, at least not to the same degree. Some of the other belt drive systems, I believe, can get about 1/125th of an inch accuracy, but you're not going to be able to do any ramping, velocity ramping, anything like that at that level with those systems. So this is definitely, if you want to do macro, nothing beats the lead screw style. It's low maintenance. I've heard some concerns that these lead screws are really high maintenance. I've been using mine for almost a year now. Other than just putting a little bit of white lithium grease on it every couple months, I've absolutely had to do no maintenance on it whatsoever, and it works like a champ every single time. These screws are very robust. They're very tough. There's not a whole lot to go wrong, and there's very few moving parts. So when it comes to belts versus lead screw, I guess it just depends on your needs. If you need ultimate accuracy, the lead screw is the better option. If you want to go really long runs, belt drive is probably a better way to go. And depending on how far it goes, you might even want to go with something that works with a cable and pulley, and it pulls itself along a longer system, or even maybe a self-propelled roaming robot instead. However, when it comes to the motor, stepper motor versus DC motor, I see no advantages of a DC motor at all. I just don't. I love stepper motors. I can tell it to move exactly what position I want it in. Whereas the DC motor, you just apply power to it and it just starts to spin. So that limits the max speed that I can get on this. And if I had a better motor driver, I could probably achieve a lot higher speeds, but I'm also looking at increased noise. It's just video's not something I ever really planned with this system. So that's why I'm just not worried about higher speeds. Also with the DC and belt drive, I've seen that a lot of these have the ability to build profiles, or kind of like a calibration. So if you lift it up at a 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle, that it will compensate by increased power to the motor and speed in order to achieve the speed that you're looking for, and that you have to change this if you're going from vertical to horizontal. And that's mainly because with DC motors, the more power you put to them, the faster they spin, but they slow down depending on how much weight you have on them. So pulling, 10 pounds horizontally is not a big deal, but pulling 10 pounds up vertically is a completely different game with those motors. They're probably capable of doing both of them, but when it does 10 pounds vertically, it's going to slow it down. So your end-to-end travel time will vary depending on the angle of the system. With this system, it doesn't. It just doesn't at all. I tell it how far I want it to move exactly, and it'll move that far. Or I tell it how fast I want it to move, and it'll move exactly that speed. I can send the cart, like put it on 9 minutes from end to end, and I can set the cart, nothing on the cart, and move it back and forth. It'll go 9 minutes end to end every time. However, if I lift it up a 90-degree angle, so it's standing vertically, and I put 30 pounds on it, it will still move 9 minutes end to end every time. There's no calibration for this. That's one of the things I really like, because I don't like the idea of not knowing what I'm going to be getting when I'm doing a routine. I want to tell it how many shots to take, how far to go, and the interval between shots. That's what I really care about, and I don't want to have to do any math or trying to figure out inches per minute and stuff like that. So that's one of the reasons I ended up building my own system rather than going with pre-existing systems. So I guess a lot of the type of system, what works best for you, really depends on what your goals are with time lapse. I found I've never really had much of a desire to go longer than about 3 feet of travel. The 3 feet of travel is actually quite a bit, even in time lapse. It's just, it starts coming more down to composition, and you want it lower to the ground. You want to bring it in closer. But the cool thing about that is I don't need to carry around big tripods and stuff. These little feet seem to work just fine, getting it the right heights and everything that I need. And if I need to, I can sit one end on my camera bag or something, the other end against a tree. There's a lot of different things that you can do with this system, with this length, and still get very, very, very impressive amounts of movement, considering that it's not a very long system. In fact, the next one that I build is probably only going to make maybe 24 inches worth of distance. So I'm thinking about doing an ultra mini chronos, because sometimes if I'm going hiking, even something like this, and this just weighs in, I believe, at 13 pounds, still gets a bit much. So if I can shave that off to 8 or 9 pounds, I think that would be great. Anyway, that's what I got for today. So like I said, go to Facebook and go like my page on Facebook, and you'll get updates on things. You'll know when more boards come in. So if you're interested in putting one of these together but you're not comfortable with electronics, this might actually get you over that step to where you're more comfortable of doing it. So go like my Facebook page. You watch out for the R3 version of Arduino, and I'm going to be trying to work on the format of this, so it might be a little while to the next video. Actually, I'll probably do one as soon as I get those boards in, because I think I'm going to want to show those off, because I'm really excited to get them. So that's about it. Have a good one.